Thank you, Chairs Guthrie and Rogers, and ranking members Ashu and Pallone, and members of the committee, for inviting me to come and speak out about fentanyl, how it has invaded our communities, devastated families, and how it has become a public health crisis. My name is Molly Cain, and I lost my beloved 23-year-old son, Carson, to fentanyl poisoning on November 27th, 2020. Thank you for allowing me to share his story. I'd like to begin by painting a story of who Carson was. Carson had a beautiful soul. He loved deeply and was wise beyond his years, and his heart was true. Carson persevered in the face of adversity. When Carson was 6, he was diagnosed with dyslexia. At 7, he was diagnosed with a familial tremor that progressively worsened. And at 10 years old, he watched his healthy father be ravaged by and ultimately succumb to brain cancer. Carson and his brother took on more responsibility within our family without being prompted or asked. Carson graduated high school with both his high school diploma and his AA degree, and went on to Gonzaga University to further his education. During his college years, Carson was prescribed Xanax for anxiety. Carson was a genuine and empathetic person who wanted to better the world around him. He lent a hand or an understanding ear to those in need and did not expect anything in return. He was the shoulder of strength others leaned on, especially those friends who had lost a parent. Carson helped to guide them out of the dark abyss they now faced. During his college years, Carson would plow snow in the early morning hours without request or compensation, would stop at the parking lot of a local cancer center to clear the lot. When asked why he made the stop, he replied, "The patients going for treatment have enough challenges. They don't need one more to navigate." These actions embodied his compassionate and devoted spirit. At 22, Carson was diagnosed with appendix cancer. After a battery of scans and procedures, it was determined the cancer had not spread, but a spot found on his lung needed to be monitored. The anxiety my son had became elevated, and suddenly COVID hit. Carson, feeling immense pressure, went to counseling and was given Xanax again. He told me he felt counseling online was impersonal and he was only offered appointments during his working hours. He stopped going. On November 26, 2020, Carson came home for Thanksgiving. He was exhausted. He said he was not sleeping. He had been working long hours and wasn't able to get the rest he needed. He hugged me goodbye and thanked me for a wonderful dinner and told me he loved me. The next day, after not hearing from him, as I usually would, I called him with no answer. I went to his home and I found my beautiful, loving son on his living room floor, deceased. I cannot put into words the guttural pain of finding Carson dead and knowing I couldn't save him. We had to wait almost 3 months for the toxicology report to find out that fentanyl had killed him. During this waiting period, we had Carson's phone, and he began to receive Snapchats with pictures of drugs and emojis from an individual. We dug into Carson's Cash App account and discovered a payment to the same individual the night he passed away. For months, the individual continued to Snapchat pictures of drugs and emojis. The DEA did a sting. The individual served less than 24 hours in jail. I was the one who brought the drug dealer's account to the attention of Snapchat. Snapchat claims they have filters in place to monitor for such illicit activity. Then why for 5 months did this individual continue to Snapchat such things if Snapchat's filters were operational? In my opinion, Snapchat is the courier, and they provide the getaway for the traffickers of this poison. In the months and now years that have ensued, I have grieved immeasurably. I knew what devastation was after losing my husband, but losing my child has left a gaping hole within my being. The heartache and pain is gripping. My son bought something thinking it would ease anxiety, a mistake that cost him his life. It was not his intent to die. These individuals who are dying are not overdosing. They are being poisoned. In the 2 years since Carson's death, tens of thousands of people have lost their lives to this weapon of mass destruction. Many victims were unknowing. We need to be educating our children and families alike about fentanyl and its lethal effects. It has been published that in Seattle, the fentanyl crisis is so bad the medical examiner is running low on storage for the dead bodies. I was told by a DEA agent that we will not see an end to fentanyl in my lifetime. I find these words exceptionally chilling. I never thought my son's photo would be hanging on the DEA's wall as one of the victims of fentanyl. Heartbreakingly, he is a statistic. How many lives must be lost before we hold the players in this hellish nightmare accountable? We must do more to prevent fentanyl from coming into our country so one more mother, one more family will not have to be brought to their knees in sorrow. I plead with you to take action. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak.